It was a very interesting day. Spen and I got absolutely blue balled by Tradeovate. So we were sitting on our ass watching the charts for about, I don't know, 45 minutes. We decided to take our first trade, and what happens? Tradeovate was down, and we were not allowed to put in a trade. So I had the issue. I entered the trade first. Spen tried to enter the same trade and just didn't let us execute, which is very frustrating. But it is what it is. The show must go on, baby. But I'm gonna make a video anyway because I don't give a fuck. So we didn't take a trade, but we were supposed to. Tradeovate did not execute. I'll pop up the message I got on the screen here. So I went online, a couple other people, the same issue. But it is what it is, man. That shit happens sometimes. It's water under the bridge. We're not gonna lose sleep over something like that. It's just one trading day. But I'll go into the day and sort of go over what I saw, what I liked, the trade that we tried to take, and give you guys a quick rundown here. So going into the day, what I was looking at was this 15-minute fair value gap. So before I start off, I like to mark everything out on the higher time frame. This 15-minute was very obvious to me. We had some relative equal highs up here too. So we had equal highs, relative, I guess you could argue that it's some form of LRLR. So we had relative equal highs up here. We had relative equal highs right here, high, and we had this 15-minute fair value gap. So the first trade idea of the day was, let me just go into replay here. The first trade idea of the day was to attack these relative equal highs. So that's what we were looking for. And I was not willing to go long until we took out these relative equal lows here. So going into the day, my bias was long to these highs, and we had relative equal lows down here. I did not get a short opportunity. I did not see my model attacking these lows, so I said to Spencer, we will not take longs until we sweep these lows. So we waited patiently. We came down, just swept these lows by a couple of ticks. And again, the reason we're waiting for these lows to get swept is because this is such an obvious liquidity pool. Price is going to want to take these equal lows eventually. So we do not want to try to fade this, knowing that price is going to be attracted to these lows. It's going to act as a magnet pulling price lower. We don't want to take longs until these lows get swept, until all of these traders get stopped out. So that's what we waited for. The lows got swept, and we immediately started looking for reversals. So the first trade idea was this 1 minute here. We wanted to see this get inversed. It was a nice trade. We have a nice manipulation leg here on the 1 minute, but the risk to reward here is just absolutely dog shit because we close so far above the gap. So let's say you're targeting this high here. This trade is not worth taking. That's a 0.5 risk to reward. So first trade, we just had an absolute boner of a candle melt through this gap. The risk to reward was skewed. And this was the second trade idea here. Again, we come back down, we retest this inversion. We have relative equal highs up here. So this was another decent trade, but I decided to sit out of it just because this gap to me was not the most obvious. It wasn't the biggest fair value gap. Although in hindsight, looking at it now, maybe it is a trade I should have tried to hop into. It played out perfectly. We get the retest and then bang, end up taking these relative equal highs. So another very clean trade. So at this point, I am waiting for this 15-minute gap to get tapped into. We have these relative equal highs up here. And I want to see how price reacts out of this bearish 15-minute gap. It's very important to look at the higher time frame because you will get big reactions once you do hit those higher time frame PD arrays. So I was expecting a short opportunity as soon as we tapped into this bearish 15-minute, and that's what we got. And this is the trade that we tried to take here. So as you can see, we get close to tapping into the 15. We don't quite get there. We start building up some more liquidity. You could argue that this is low resistance liquidity. And again, the 15-minute is just right here. Bang, there we go. So we're waiting to see how price is going to react. It's a very obvious zone up there. And we finally tap into it. I go on to the 2-minute here, and I notice that we have a beautiful singular fair value gap on the 2-minute. And this trade was just beautiful, man. It was beautiful because a lot of things lined up. So we sweep this LRLR, we take out these highs, we stop these traders out. We tap into the higher time frame PD array, being the bearish 15-minute gap, and we are simply waiting to see how we react. Are we going to hold this gap, or are we going to close below it? And as you can see, we do not respect the gap to the upside. We completely disrespect it. This would have been our entry here. We would have sold one contract, and we're targeting the low-hanging fruit down here. So this is when I tried to place my first trade for the day. This is when I got that notification. And again, it is what it is. I just wanted to make this video for fun. I want to put some more content out there. But yeah, so this is where we tried to execute. And as you can see, price takes out our target. So it would have been about a $580 win, just over 1%. Risk to reward was decent. It would have looked something like this, targeting this low here. So just under a 1 to 2 risk to reward ratio, which is sort of what we're looking for. That's a very good risk to reward in my opinion, and I'm taking that all day. But unfortunately, there was some issues on Tradevate. I don't know if anyone else experienced any issues, but yeah. So that was Monday summed up. Unfortunately, we weren't able to capitalize on this, but you know, the show goes on. We got the rest of this week, and I'm actually getting ready to go to Indonesia today. So I'm packing my things. I fly out tomorrow morning, and I am going to bring the camera with me and hopefully get some dope content overseas. So hopefully I can film a bit more lifestyle shit, maybe film a couple cool videos out there. And yeah, man, so I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully you get some decent trade setups, and we will see what the rest of this week has in store for us.